Andreas Stihl was born in Zurich on November the 10th, 1896. 207 years before that, a factory opened beside a waterfall in Husqvarna, Sweden. A Swedish king had ordered it built. In its first years, the factory produced 1,500 musket pipes annually. It had nothing to do with chainsaws. One company began with one engineer and one problem. The other began with a weapon and a king's decree. Both ended up making the two most trusted chainsaws in the world. They did not get there the same way. In 1926, Andreas Stihl opened an engineering office in Stuttgart, Germany. At the time, forestry work was still hard and difficult. Trees were felled with an axe or handsaw, then transported to sawmills. Chainsaws existed, but only inside those mills. Stihl wanted the saw to go to the tree. He built his first, a two-man electric saw, that same year. It weighed 48 kilograms. 3 years later, in 1929, he built a petrol-powered version. That saw weighed 46 kilograms and still needed 2 people to carry it. Stihl spent the next 33 years solving the same problem. One engineer, one company, one product. 330 years after a Swedish king ordered a weapons factory built beside a waterfall, that factory was still standing. By 1872, Husqvarna's rifle contract with the Swedish crown had ended. The company started making sewing machines, then wood stoves, then bicycles in 1896, then motorcycles in 1903. In the 1950s, Husqvarna saw a decrease in motorcycle sales and began looking for new opportunities. Its engineers already knew how to build engines. In November 1959, Husqvarna presented its first chainsaw, the Husqvarna 90. Its noise level was half that of every competitor on the market. Stihl had been making chainsaws for 33 years before Husqvarna sold its first one. In 1926, Andreas Stihl opened an engineering office in Stuttgart with 2 employees and no investors. His idea was simple. The saw should be carried to the tree, not the tree to the saw. No one had built a portable chainsaw before. Stihl built one that year, a 2-man electric unit weighing 48 kilograms. It could not fell a tree. It could only cut timber already lying on the ground, and only where a power cable could reach. 3 years later, in 1929, Stihl solved the cable problem. He built a petrol-powered 2-man saw weighing 46 kilograms. It still needed 2 people to carry it and 2 people to operate it, but it could go anywhere. Stihl kept building. Each new model cut weight, added power, or removed another limitation. The company had no other products and no other customers. Every resource went into the same problem. By 1931, the results were clear. That year, Stihl became the first European company to export chainsaws to the United States and the Soviet Union. A company with fewer than 40 employees was shipping saws to 2 of the largest timber markets on Earth. The 1930s brought more milestones. Stihl introduced automatic chain lubrication. He added a centrifugal clutch. In the early 1930s, a new electric chainsaw became the first that could be operated by just one person. It was still an electric model, mainly used inside log yards, but the direction was fixed. One person, one saw. The decades that followed were decades of subtraction, weight removed, gears eliminated, complexity stripped back. In 1959, that process produced its most important result. In 1959, Andreas Stihl achieved a technological breakthrough with the Contra, a gearless 1-man gasoline chainsaw that made forestry work significantly easier. It was equipped with a chipper-tooth chain and a diaphragm carburetor that worked in any position, so the saw offered unlimited flexibility without manual adjustments. It weighed just 12 kilograms, produced 6 horsepower, and reached a maximum speed of 7,000 revolutions per minute. It was lighter and more efficient than any other product on the market. 12 kilograms. That is the weight of a small bag of concrete mix. One person could carry it with one hand, walk into a forest, and start cutting without adjusting anything. Forestry operations that adopted the Contra measured the result precisely. Productivity increased by 200%. Operations that previously required 2 workers now required 1. That 1 worker finished faster. The Contra's success ushered in a new era at Stihl. The company achieved double-digit revenue growth. In the 10 years that followed, the workforce grew from roughly 640 employees in 1959 to over 1,500 in 1969. Stihl had been chasing this specific outcome since 1926. The Contra was not a lucky invention. It was the result of 33 years of building nothing else. That single-mindedness, one product, one problem, no distractions, became the foundation of how Stihl operates today. Husqvarna AB is a publicly traded company listed on Nasdaq Stockholm. It has shareholders, it publishes quarterly results, it answers to an open market. Stihl does not. Stihl has been a family-owned company since its founding. The company, shares of Stihl Holding AG and Contra KG, are divided between 4 shareholders: Hans-Peter Stihl, Gerhild Schetter, Dr. Rudiger Stihl, and Eva Meyer Stihl. All 4 are descendants of Andreas Stihl. This matters more than it might appear. A publicly traded company makes engineering decisions with one eye on the next earnings report. A privately held family company answers only to itself. Stihl can invest in a technology for a decade without explaining the cost to outside investors. It can reject a product direction because the founding family disagrees with it. It can hold a distribution philosophy for 100 years because no shareholder vote can overturn it. That distribution philosophy is one of the most visible differences between the 2 brands. Stihl products are only sold through authorized local Stihl dealers, not big box stores. This applies across the United States and reflects the company's global approach. Globally, Stihl operates through 44 of its own sales and marketing companies, approximately 120 importers, and more than 55,000 independent dealers in over 160 countries. Every one of those 55,000 dealers must be able to service what they sell. A dealer who cannot repair a Stihl product cannot sell one. This requirement traces directly back to 1926. The principle of only selling machines through specialist dealers who provide service became a cornerstone of Andreas Stihl's quality philosophy from the very beginning. Husqvarna takes a different approach. Husqvarna chainsaws are available at Lowe's. They are available at Home Depot. They are available through independent dealers. A customer can walk into a large retail chain on a Saturday morning and buy a Husqvarna chainsaw from a staff member who has never operated one. This is not an accident. It is a strategic decision made by a publicly listed company trying to reach the broadest possible market. Stihl's decision to stay out of big box stores has a measurable cost. A customer who lives 60 miles from the nearest authorized Stihl dealer cannot easily buy or service a Stihl product. That customer is available to Husqvarna. Husqvarna's wider distribution reaches people and places that Stihl's network does not. But Stihl has held the same position since the company was founded, and the results suggest the trade-off is working. Stihl has been the world's top-selling chainsaw brand since 1971. It has held that position for more than 50 consecutive years without ever selling a product through a big box retailer. Husqvarna entered the chainsaw market 33 years after Stihl. It came from a completely different industry. Its engineers had spent decades building weapons, sewing machines, and motorcycles before they cut their first piece of timber. That background is not a weakness. It is exactly where Husqvarna's most important early innovations came from. When Husqvarna was developing the Model 90, one of the requirements for the product engineers was to significantly reduce its noise level. The production department thought the existing muffler design seemed too complicated, so the product engineers went to Husqvarna's frame workshop, where frames for the company's motorcycles and mopeds were made. Their skill in bending pipe made it possible to realize a new muffler design. With the launch of the Husqvarna 90, the company introduced its first chainsaw. It was a product that ran quieter, with noise levels half of what competitors could offer because of that unique muffler design. No chainsaw-only company in 1959 had a motorcycle workshop to pull from. Husqvarna did. The result was a saw that cut differently than anything Stihl was producing, not more powerfully, but more quietly, with a solution borrowed from a completely unrelated product line. That pattern, solving chainsaw problems with knowledge from other industries, would define Husqvarna's engineering identity for decades. In 1969, with the launch of the Husqvarna 180, the company introduced a groundbreaking anti-vibration function that prevents white fingers disease, a common problem for forestry workers around the world. White fingers disease is caused by prolonged exposure to vibration. It permanently damages the blood vessels and nerves in a worker's hands. Forestry workers had been developing it for years. No chainsaw manufacturer had fixed it. Husqvarna fixed it in 1969, 10 years after entering the industry. Stihl did not introduce anti-vibration technology to its own saws until later that same decade. The company that had been making chainsaws since 1926 was following the company that had started in 1959. That is what 270 years of manufacturing different things can produce. Husqvarna's engineers were not better than Stihl's. They were coming from a different direction. They had seen problems that Stihl's engineers, deep inside a single industry for decades, had stopped noticing. Two companies, two philosophies, two completely different reasons for building a chainsaw in the first place. The saws they make today carry every one of those differences inside them. The most direct expression of any manufacturer's philosophy is the engine. Not the body, not the handle, not the colour. The engine is where every engineering decision from the company's entire history either shows up or does not. Stihl chainsaws are built around the 2-mix engine. The 2-mix is a 2-stroke engine that uses a stratified scavenging system. The stratified scavenging system works by creating a separating layer between the burnt exhaust gases in the combustion chamber and the fresh fuel mixture, preventing raw fuel from escaping through the exhaust before it combusts. The result is an engine that burns its fuel more completely. The 2-mix engine saves up to 20% of fuel and reduces emissions by up to 70% compared to Stihl 2-stroke engines of the same performance class without 2-mix technology. Stihl chainsaws are known for strong low-end torque, plenty of grunt when leaned hard into a tough cut. That characteristic is not a coincidence. It traces to the 2-mix's stratified combustion design, which delivers strong, controlled power at lower engine speeds. A logger burying the bar deep into a dense hardwood needs the engine to keep pulling without hesitating. Stihl's 2-mix is engineered for exactly that. Husqvarna chainsaws are built around the X-Torque engine. X-Torque is Husqvarna's technology for 2-stroke engines, which reduces fuel consumption by up to 20% and emissions by up to 60%. The engine technology increases torque over a wider range of engine speeds, providing maximum cutting power. The key difference between the two engines is where in the engine speed range each one delivers its power. Stihl's 2-mix delivers strong torque at low engine speeds, which suits heavy, sustained pressure in dense wood. Husqvarna's X-Torque spreads power across a wider band of engine speeds, which means the engine responds quickly at any throttle position. If you line up a Husqvarna and a Stihl of similar size, the Stihl often feels slightly more muscular at low engine speeds, while the Husqvarna feels a bit quicker and more free revving. Neither approach is wrong. They reflect different users cutting different wood in different conditions. In 2019, Stihl built something that sat completely outside this comparison. It was not an evolution of the 2-mix. It was a different class of engine entirely. The MS500i is the first ever chainsaw on the worldwide market with electronically controlled fuel injection. It was designed and built exclusively for forestry personnel and tree service professionals. Every chainsaw before the MS500i used a carburetor. A carburetor mixes fuel and air mechanically, using pressure differentials to meter the right amount of fuel into the engine. It works well under consistent conditions. It struggles when altitude changes, temperature drops, the air filter starts to clog, or the fuel quality varies. A logger moving between sea level and mountain terrain, or working in freezing rain at dawn and dry heat by midday, is constantly fighting the carburetor. The MS500i eliminated the carburetor entirely. The electronic fuel injection control unit continuously calculates the correct fuel supply and the ideal ignition time. Sensors measure air pressure and internal and external temperature, and pass that information to the control unit. The control unit determines the optimum fuel quantity and ignition timing in real time. The practical result is that a logger in the Swiss Alps at 2,500 meters gets the same optimized fuel to air ratio as a logger working at sea level in Georgia. Neither has to touch a screw or a dial. The MS500i achieves rapid acceleration from 0 to 100 km per hour in 0.25 seconds. That is the chain going from stationary to full speed in a quarter of a second. The speed at which a saw chain reaches full cutting velocity directly affects how cleanly it enters wood and how efficiently it exits. A chain that takes longer to accelerate tears rather than cuts. The MS500i features a 79.2 cubic centimeters engine producing 6.7 brake horsepower with a power head weight of just 13.9 pounds. It achieves a power-to-weight ratio of 1.24 kilograms per kilowatt, the best ever achieved by a series-manufactured chainsaw. The MS500i costs significantly more than a standard professional chainsaw. It exists because a family-owned company spent decades investing in engineering without needing to justify the cost to outside shareholders. No quarterly earnings call would have approved what it took to get there. Husqvarna answered the same problem of variable conditions differently. Instead of removing the carburetor, Husqvarna built a system that manages it automatically. Auto-tune is an automatic feature that constantly fine-tunes the air-fuel mixture, compensating for factors such as humidity, altitude, temperature, fuel quality, and air filter clogging. The engine runs at optimum settings without the operator ever having to adjust the carburetor manually. Auto-tune does not eliminate the carburetor, it eliminates the need for a person to touch it. A logger running a Husqvarna with auto-tune never adjusts a screw. The saw handles it. The difference between auto-tune and Stihl's MS500i fuel injection is the depth of control. Auto-tune manages a carburetor, while fuel injection replaces it. At the operator level, the experience is similar. Both saws start easily and run consistently across changing conditions. Husqvarna also introduced a second technology that addresses a problem Stihl took longer to solve. AIR injection is a centrifugal air cleaning system that efficiently purifies the air before it reaches the engine. By centrifuging the incoming air, it removes sawdust and other particles and keeps the filter from clogging, allowing the engine to run much longer without the need to clean the filter. A professional who is cutting timber generates enormous amounts of fine wood dust. That dust gets into everything. An air filter that clogs in 2 hours of heavy use forces the operator to stop, clean and restart. Air injection extends the interval between those stops, which directly increases the amount of time the saw is cutting versus sitting idle. The ergonomic differences between the two brands are just as pronounced as the engine differences, and they are felt within the first minute of holding each saw. Husqvarna is often praised for its vibration damping and overall comfort, especially during longer cutting sessions. That goes back to a 1969 anti-vibration investment that is still paying dividends. Husqvarna has been engineering around the operator's body for more than 50 years. Low-vib anti-vibration dampeners absorb vibration, reducing the impact on the arms and hands for a safer, more comfortable experience. Husqvarna chainsaws are generally lighter than their Stihl counterparts, making them easier to maneuver. On a long day's work, that weight difference compounds. A saw that is 200 grams lighter does not feel different on the first cut. By the 300th cut, the operator's shoulders know it. Stihl approaches the ergonomics question from the other direction. Stihl chainsaws often feel slightly more muscular at low revs, and Stihl is known for excellent reliability. The handles use a softer, more rubberized grip coating that absorbs vibration at the contact point between the operator's hand and the machine. The ergonomic priority is control, giving the operator a confident, stable grip when the saw is working hard. Neither company has solved ergonomics better than the other. They have solved it differently. Husqvarna optimizes for reduced fatigue during long days. Stihl optimizes for confident control during heavy cuts. A professional arborist running a saw for 6 hours across 50 different jobs reaches for a Husqvarna. A logger felling hardwood for 2 hours straight reaches for a Stihl. Both saws are doing what they were built to do. Today, Stihl has been the world's top-selling chainsaw brand since 1971. It has held that position for more than 50 consecutive years. Husqvarna remains the world's largest manufacturer of outdoor power products overall, with chainsaws, robotic lawn mowers, and construction equipment sold in more than 100 countries. Two companies, one built to solve a single problem in 1926, the other built to make weapons in 1689. Both arrived at the same tool, both kept building it better. They just never agreed on what better meant. If this helped you understand what is actually inside the saw you pick up every morning, subscribe and leave a like, but only if you genuinely found it worth your time.